Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about my queer theory class. This is Queer Theory Chronicles episode 1. So this is my second time filming because I blabbered on for the first time. Man, I can't shut the fuck up. Anyways, so let's get right into it. I'm assuming I'm going to get the question of why did you take queer theory if you knew it was going to be filled with SJWs? First of all, I underestimated how filled with SJWs it was going to be, and that is my mistake. Whatever. Aside from that, it fit my schedule, and aside from that, it looks good on my PhD application to have a variety of courses, and so far all my courses have been comparative literature. This is critical and theoretical, so it's a different thing altogether, and I need to show that I have those capacities too, so there's that. Another thing we need to know about critical theory to get out of the way is that our class has a rule. This is the rule. You can either have an absence or a silent day. A silent day is a day in which you do not participate. So it's either one or the other. So essentially, unless you want your grade to go down, I think it goes down by 5% every time you are absent or don't speak. So unless you want your grade to go down, you either need to always speak or take that one silent day or take that absence. But aside from that, you always have to speak. So in our first week, we had to read the Queer Nation Manifesto. Now, some of you, if you're following me on Twitter, you're going to remember this because I posted a part of it. And I live tweet a lot from Queer Theory, so if you're into that, Twitter. Since I wanted to participate in order to maintain my grade and potentially get the highest grade possible, I said something which I didn't really think was controversial, but apparently was. Oh, last thing you need to know about queer theory. There is someone in there who myself and a couple of other people have noticed is kind of my nemesis. And we've noticed, so it's not just me and my neurosis, like this is a real thing. We've noticed that anytime I say something, this person, who I've given a gender neutral name to because queer theory, his name is Sam. And I could literally cough and Sam would start screaming and saying that I'm racist or something. So Sam's reason of existence in this class, in my mind, is to disagree with me. And even if I said something he agreed with, I'm pretty sure he would disagree with me because it's me. And there's that. So I've had classes with Sam previously and we've kind of butted heads before, but those classes weren't really as politically based as this class is, so it hasn't been as prevalent. Now it's very, very obvious to me. Anyways, before we begin, a lot of people have been asking me, what is queer theory? What does that even mean? Is that the real name of the class? Yes, it is the real name of the class. What does it mean? We're still kind of debating what it means in the class itself, actually. We don't really have a concrete thing because so many of the articles are very abstract or overly esoteric to the point where even I feel like an expert reading it would just be kind of like, what the fuck? Because it's so kind of specifically written that it feels like anytime you read an article, even if it's supposed to be a basic article that's accessible to everyone, you still feel like you had to read like 20 books to understand this one thing. That's kind of how everything I read feels like in queer theory, like I'm kind of missing something.
You're entering the Twilight Zone.
So let's quickly look up the definitions just so you guys can have a general idea of what is discussed. So queer theory is based on queer studies. So let's start with queer studies. Queer studies, sexual diversity studies, or LGBT studies is the study of issues relating to sexual orientation and gender identity, usually focusing on lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, and intersex people and cultures. Okay? That's queer studies. Now, let's go to queer theory. Queer theory is a field of critical theory that emerged in the early 1990s out of the fields of queer studies and women's studies. Queer theory includes both queer readings of texts and the theorization of queerness itself. Okay? So I kind of entered this class thinking that it would be very primarily focused on just the aspect of being queer, but as I've gone on, I've realized that it is entirely focused on intersectionality, which isn't inherently bad, but a lot of it is very racialized, so a lot of it has turned into like, you know, white people are evil, the classic kind of stuff I'm sure you can expect. Anyways, let's talk about what we talked about week 1. So Week 1, I'd never taken a queer studies, queer theory, whatever thing in my life. I went into this class kind of treading lightly. Because I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know what exactly queer theory was. I didn't really know that it existed before graduate school. So, yeah. So, one of the first things we had to read was the Queer Nation Manifesto, okay? And that was very interesting, mainly because of how it was written, the fact that I had typos. I'll link it down below if you want to read it. There's a whole section dedicated to I hate straights, so, I mean, you already know that's going to be great, right? Anyways, there is a section towards the end that says, let yourself be angry. And there are 2 paragraphs, and the first one gets a little bit political, talking about Bush, and that's not really relevant to what I said, so I'm not going to read that part. I'm just going to read the beginning because that's relevant. And it said, let yourself be angry. They've taught us that good queers don't get mad. They taught us so well that we not only hide our anger from them, we hide it from each other. We hide it from ourselves. We hide it with substance abuse and suicide and overachieving in the hope of proving our worth. They bash us and stab us and shoot us and bomb us in ever-increasing numbers, and still we freak out when angry queers carry banners or signs that say bash back. I'm going to skip to the next paragraph because that's really what I addressed in class. So here it says, the next time some straight person comes down on you for being angry, tell them that until things change, you don't need any more evidence that the world turns at your expense. You don't need to see only hetero couple grocery shopping on your TV. You don't want any more baby pictures shoved in your face until you can have or keep your own. No more weddings, showers, anniversaries, please, unless they are your own brothers and sisters celebrating. And tell them not to dismiss you by saying you have rights, you have privileges, you are overreacting, or you have victim's mentality. Tell them, go away from me until you change. Go away and try on a world without the brave, strong queers that are its backbone, that are its guts and brains and souls. Go tell them to go away until they have spent a month walking hand in hand in public with someone of the same sex. After they survive that, then you'll hear what they have to say about queer anger. Otherwise, tell them to shut up and listen.
I watch the L Word,
Good.
okay?
Good.
I watch Queer as
That's not
So-
what it's called.
I was thinking a lot of things when I wanted to talk about this in class, but I said, hey, let's go non-controversial. Let's ease yourself in there. Don't fucking get stabbed right after class on your first week. So I said something that I still deem uncontroversial. So I said, so this is what happened. Yeah, so what I was thinking is that I think the angry thing is understandable, but in a sense might be counterproductive, because if someone is so overly angry that when they address their peers or whoever it is that is against them, if the person is so angry that they're screaming or irrational, it might be counterproductive because they won't be taken seriously. So while anger can exist, I don't think it should be part of the discussion, because who can have a civilized, discussion when someone is so overly angry? So that's what happened, right? And I mean, I don't think she's completely wrong. I mean, it's not effective to go to someone's face screaming, because if I come here and tell you blah, 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 that is not cool, okay? So, like I said, I just said being angry is not always productive, okay? You'd think I had shot someone. So, Sam, my nemesis, he took it upon himself to respond saying that I didn't understand and that I was belittling the anger of these people, and that sometimes anger is productive for change, and that by being angry, maybe people were going to be more likely to listen, which I honestly think are mostly bullshit. I don't think that is the case.
I don't know what the that was.
I mean, I even later on in class brought up the example of when Bernie Sanders was speaking and then Black Lives Matter interrupted him. I mean, so many fucking people, and I think even people from Black Lives Matter had tweeted out saying that was not okay. And they were so angry when they were speaking and just interrupting someone else that it wasn't taken seriously, which is the same as what I was saying here, which is when we want to have a discussion, you and I, even if we don't agree, we need to agree to a certain level of decorum, so when you're talking, I let you talk, and when I'm talking, you let me talk. If we're both screaming at each other, what are we gonna get done? But actually, what are we gonna get done?
Suck my dick.
So anyways, me being the devil in that class, after he said that, after Sam made that point, I didn't really want to get into a debate, especially on the first week, so I just kind of left it at that. But I really have to say, when we think about this critically, okay, and I don't remember when this was written, we can check on the website later, but critically speaking, in the West, people of the LGBTQ spectrum do have rights. Some do victimize themselves, as we see here, but they have a lot of rights that people don't have in a lot of other countries. In some other countries that I'm not going to name, you could be, I don't know, killed, you could go to prison. There's so many fucking things that could happen to you just for being gay. Not even for actually, like, going out and doing something, but for being that. So it really bothers me when we're in class and we kind of forget about that. And as queer theory has gone on, I'll explain this in later videos, but as class has gone on, I have been the one that keeps raising my hand and says, hey, what about the Middle East? Because I continue seeing all this critique of Western culture, let's say. But the thing is, as much as Western culture might have its own problems, I'm not saying it's fucking utopia. But when we talk about these issues, it's very important to keep the rest of the world in mind and to zoom out and not just zoom in on fucking California, for example. So, I don't know, I feel like this class has been very, very focused on just the States, which is why I feel like it's so easy to overly analyze and overly criticize things because it's not looking outside. So that's pretty much what's been happening so far. Well, actually, there's more stuff, but it's not going to fit in a video unless I need to go on for half an hour, so I'm just going to end it here. But that is what has been going on. Anyways, you guys, let me know, A, what you think, B, if you want me to do a second episode if this is interesting to you, and C, no, that's it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons, as always, and let's get into the fan art.